is up? Week 2 in the books. Everyone, I just want to go ahead and say this once again. Josh talking, not Joe. So Joe's not here, clearly. I just want to say, I don't know, to everyone out there, stop with the overreactions, guys. It's week 2. People are not. I seen this meme that was like, a 1-1 team only has a 40% chance to make the playoffs, and there was like 11 of them or something. And I was like, yeah, but you already know that some of those are going to make the playoffs. And yes, there will be some that were like, oh, wow, holy crap, they didn't make the playoffs. But all the overreactions for fantasy, for NFL in general, let's calm down. We're shaking the rust off. A lot of people didn't play in the preseason. They're coming in. This is their, second game of their career potentially, maybe even first if some rookies that sat out week 1. Let's just calm down, pump the brakes. Do not panic on everyone. We'll go through all these games in the week 3 slate, and we'll tell you maybe you can drop that guy, and then we'll talk about other people that you definitely should not. So just do not panic overall is what I got to say to everyone.
I agree. I actually want to, before we get into the games, want to talk about this one quarterback in college right now. And I don't know if you've come across him yet, Josh. Maybe you have. His name is Dylan Raiola. He's the quarterback at Nebraska. And he is trying to be Patrick Mahomes so bad. And it is cringy. It's not Patrick Mahomes is in the play on the field. It's Patrick Mahomes is in the appearance, the way he walks, the way he warms up, the way that he just is generally goes about his pregame, like the sunglasses, he wears the same outfits. It is the creepiest thing I have ever seen. Sorry, Dylan Raiola, if you happen to be watching tonight. It's the creepiest thing I have ever seen in my life, dude. I'll have to send you a video of this guy.
You will definitely have to do that, because I literally thought you were going to be like, oh, no, there's this guy, Shedeur Sanders or something like that. And I'll be like, yeah, I've heard of him, But yes, for all those listeners, I do not really have time to watch college football pre-baby, but definitely not post-baby. So
yeah, exactly. Definitely not
post-baby. As you can see, there's just a drill in the back scene here. I gotta get it together, guys. I gotta get it together.
A lot of things going on back there. But yeah, I'll have to send you a video of this guy, and I encourage everyone to go out there and look this kid up, because it is getting spooky of how like Patrick Mahomes this kid wants to be. Not necessarily the play on the field, but his just overall being.
Honestly, though, at least he's like on brand for the season. You know what I mean? He's getting spooky around spooky season.
Look good, play good is his motto, I suppose. All right, well, let's get right in. This season is so weird already, Josh. I mean, I know we talk about this every season with the injuries, and this season's probably not that much different than normal seasons. But like, there's a couple of my teams that are just done. Like, they're already done. I'm having to like move major pieces out. So, like, this is the first start sit where I'm like, we're going to legitimately have to talk through some people, because there is some major people missing for fantasy football right now.
Yeah, week 2 is a lot like, and I don't remember what year this was or what week it was, but I remember me and Joe were sitting at B-Dubs watching a game, and Le'Veon Bell went down, and Tyreek Hill went down, and like 6 other guys went down. Like, and I'm talking like ACLs, bad injuries, and everything. Like, fortunately, we didn't get that this last week, but it did feel like it, because we lost big name receivers, CeeDee Lamb, Jefferson, just to mention a few. Like, I mean, there are so many, and like, yes, we didn't lose them for good, but we lost them for a couple plays and or maybe some weeks after. So there's going to be a lot of fill-ins, a lot of people not to fill in. So I'm actually kind of excited about this week.
Yeah, no, this is the first week where I feel like we can finally get to this. Okay, well, let's just start. Let's get right at it. The first game on the slate this week is the Thursday night football game. The first game that I'm not actually that excited to watch, but it's football, and we got to savor it while we got it. And that is the Patriots versus the Jets. Josh, on the Patriots, other than Ramondre Stevenson, are you trusting anyone?
No, not yet. I understand this Hunter Henry hype just because he had one good game. It just seemed like Brissett just kind of latched onto him. I want to see that well more consistently than 1 week than before I'm throwing him out there. I know the tight end scape doesn't look great at the moment, but it's definitely better than this. I just want to go ahead and say. So, yes, if you picked him up, please keep him on your team. But, like, let's see it another week before we're putting him in the lineup. And then, honestly, seeing Antonio Gibson get some work, and I mean, I know he busted off a 45-yard run, but seeing him in the run game and getting the 10-11 carries is really nice. Definitely a hold on that point. But, yeah, no, you're not starting anyone other than Stevenson at the moment. I do think that one of these guys, the 1, 2, 3 guys, That's Polk, Osborne, and Demario Douglas. For those curious about why I said that, it's the numbers. It's pretty easy. But no, honestly, like I'm curious because like I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna be Polk. I don't think it's gonna be. I don't think we're gonna know who it is. And I mean, it could be either of these three. It could be Javon Baker one day. Like someone eventually, especially when Drake May gets in there, is gonna be the wide receiver one on this team, and it's gonna hopefully look decent at the very least. Get just a lot of targets. So hold on those guys. But yeah, it's Stevenson. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think the toughest part with the Patriots right now is just the not knowing of what is going to happen, because when Drake May gets in there, I think this offense is going to look completely different. I did end up posting a poll suggesting which quarterback is going to be the first one to be benched between Jacoby Brissett, Will Levis, Bryce Young. Bryce Young ended up winning that out. I did not know that was going to happen 3 hours after I posted that. But my thought process with Brissett was like, this team looks really good right now. Maybe we put Drake May in there and see what kind of spark it can bring, because Jacoby is like, he's kind of like a pitcher in baseball where like the first 6 innings of the game, he looks great. And then we get to that 7th, 8th, 9th inning and he just falls off of a cliff. And that's exactly what happened against the Seahawks. And he just doesn't have it anymore after that. And I feel like we need to get maybe maybe he can come in relief or something towards the end of these games to maybe just give the Patriots a little bit of a spark.
He definitely doesn't have the, like clutch gene. Definitely. Like, I mean, the Bengals actually almost came back and should have probably won that game. That was definitely very fluky in general too. So seeing their one win and then their loss to Seattle, I thought the Patriots D looked really good, but then I realized that it was just the Bengals offense was so bad. So week 1, that is. So
yeah, no, I get you. Yeah. So anyway, but on to the Jets, which, by the way, we're just saying Ramondre Stevenson. It's a wait and see for the rest of this team. That's basically what all that was.
I thought that was easy.
Yeah, Jets side, Aaron Rodgers, I still don't really trust him as a starting running or a quarterback. Not yet, anyway. Breece Hall looks good. I don't love this Braylon Allen situation. I can't.
Let me interrupt here. I'm sorry, and I know this is the first time, and we're just getting into it. Braylon Allen is the complementary back, and yes, he will have some standalone value at times, but 7 carries and 2 catches is not it. Like, I mean, you're sure it's a tentative pickup, but it's not he's taking Breece Hall's job. Breece Hall is fine.
I'm not saying he's taking his job. I think he might actually be an integral part of this offense. Like, that's what I'm thinking. I do think
Breece is going to get off the ground.
Well, that's what I'm saying is like with Breece out there, they are a really good run team. But when they put Braylon Allen out there, there is a certain spark in the pass game that isn't there with Breece. I don't really know why yet. Maybe there's just a connection problem that's not happening quite yet.
Because they're throwing Breece screen passes and they're throwing Braylon Allen down the field passes. That's why.
Well, fair enough. Clearly, the Jets offensive coordinator likes that. So I can't fault anyone if you want to put Braylon Allen in the flex. It seems like he's a touchdown or bust player. But based on just where we're at right now, I can't really fault you for doing that. Personally, I wouldn't, but I can see why you would. Garrett Wilson's starting to make me nervous a little bit. He does seem to be Rodgers' number 1 option, but who cares? Because it doesn't seem like Rodgers is even throwing the ball that much or accurately to where that even makes sense. This offense needs to like figure it out. I know it's partially O-line. Rodgers is old. I get it. There's all these different things, but Garrett Wilson's still a good option. I do think he's going to have a couple of pop games, but Aaron Rodgers cannot throw the ball well right now, and that is a concern that I didn't think we were going to have. I thought it was going to be that this offense just sucked, but this offense doesn't look that bad. It's the quarterback is the problem on this team still, and I didn't think we were going to be there.
I saw this coming, personally. I literally said it so many times in the offseason, but Garrett Wilson's actually turned into what is a great floor. Yes, not what you drafted him as in your first round, maybe second round if you got lucky. But you have to keep him in there. You can't sit him, unfortunately. And yes, he should have a pop play eventually. But 10, 15, I mean, really you can't complain with that, with considering some of the injuries we just saw go around this week. So
yeah, definitely so. Other than that, I mean, Alan Lazard came back to earth. That was never a thing. Don't fall for it. Mike Williams is still coming back from injury. That's not a thing I really wanted to get into. So honestly, I think it's Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Braylon Allen in a desperate flex.
Just add a if you need to for Rodgers as well. But
I don't. Yeah, I don't know about that either. I said his name, and I still don't know if I believe in that necessarily.
If you need to, like in a super flex, sure, whatever. Yeah, the Jets, I think, actually win this game. Patriots
I
are
think so
not good.
too. I think it's a 13-10. Like, I don't think there's anything special going to happen in this game. It's definitely not going to be high scoring, but I just don't really believe in it.
Yeah.
Roo-roo.
What's good, Rugaroo? Actually, you're not my friend this week because the Saints keep scoring and the Eagles are slacking. So I'm not really a big fan of you this week, but I appreciate you watching the show still. Probably just coming to victory lap. But what up, Roo?
I can't blame you, Rue. You might as well have a third screen on here right now because the Saints are definitely marching in this week. All right, let's get on to the first game on the slate for this week, and that is the Chargers versus the Steelers. This is a disgusting game. I'll talk about the Chargers first. Justin Herbert is hurt. He's still not a good quarterback to put in there to start week to week, so definitely don't start him. I'm actually going to this is the first time in the history of this podcast, probably since the beginning of last season, Quentin Johnston is a start. I mean, he's a legitimate start. It seems like he's the number one weapon on this team right now. Thought it was going to be Josh Palmer. He's been battling injury, so that hasn't worked out. And then between the running backs, I know what Dobbins has been doing these first couple weeks. The usage is bizarre, though, Josh. I don't know if you've seen Dobbins' usage, but like it doesn't really make you feel great. Like it's still only like 10 to 12 touches a game. He's just making the most out of each one of the touches is the thing. I don't know if eventually it's got to come back to reality, but like for now, you just got to ride the hot hand with that one. And I wouldn't
for having 0 shares of J.K. Dobbins, I'm so happy for him. Like honestly, like he deserves this, and like I love everything about this breakout. So everyone who does roster him, good for you for getting him, and for probably dirt cheap too, which is great. But I do agree with Billy. I do believe he comes back to earth. But honestly, last game getting 17 touches, like I thought first week one, obviously broke off that like 40, 50 yarder. Like it's like, okay, well, I mean, that's obviously, a fluke, but 17 touches and carries in the last game. Pretty excited about that for him.
And he did that front flip into the end zone, scared the shit out of me. Like
yeah,
the one player I don't want doing a front flip into the end zone is J.K. Dobbins.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't want anyone to do it. I think it's terrifying. Mooney did it, and I was like, dude, chill out, man. Like you just finally got something going for yourself. Like that's against my own team, and I was excited for him.
And the last person on this team, Ladd McConkey, is a wait and see. He's not being used as I thought he would be, as like a check down Charlie situation. But they're also not passing that much. And I guess we all should have seen this coming with how much Harbaugh likes to have a run first offense. But I didn't think it would be like this run first. It's kind of, I don't know. It still doesn't feel right to watch.
Yeah. So on the other side of the team, or on the other side of the field, we got the Steelers, which I would usually be like, you could make the argument for do not start anyone. George Pickens is getting enough of the share to where I can say he probably needs to be in your lineups. You don't have to if you don't want to. I know that the passing game hasn't been there, but it's gonna come eventually. I think Fields was not expecting to start, so I think he got thrust into this. And Najee, in my opinion, at least, is a smash start. That might be biased just because I love Najee, but 17 carries. I mean, there 18 carries is what you want from a running back. I mean, he's getting the carries. All it takes is one. And then also they played Carolina and Las Vegas so far. The Chargers did. So like, which neither one has a run game. So like, it's hard to say that they're good against the run when they haven't played a run game. So yes, they're like middle of the tier 12, 13 for the run game. But I personally think that Najee is a smash start here. Pickens could probably ride the bench. I'm going to be honest with you. I like to think that he's going to have to be he's the only guy getting targets. So therefore he should catch them. And then Fields is intriguing in the future, but like until we see it, I mean, the good thing about Fields is if you need to start him, he could go for 50 at any given moment. This should be a deficit for the Steelers, so they're probably going to have to end up throwing. So I can make the argument for Fields and Pickens starting this week, but that's a preference thing.
Yeah, this team, I mean, let's be honest, there's a lot of teams that are grossing me out right now. Pittsburgh offense is definitely one of those, unfortunately. Yeah. Just don't know if I completely love and agree with it quite yet, but
I think Najee's the one like where I'm like, it's gonna happen. Like they're actually making a conceded effort to feed him the ball.
Yeah, definitely so. This game's gross, but I think the Chargers are going to win. I like their style of play. I really do.
No, they're playing gritty football. Defense is playing well. The offense is playing well. And for, being a makeshift offense, obviously the run game's helping, but excited to see the Chargers look like a team again.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to be scoring 45 points in a game ever, probably, but I mean, they're playing. I mean, it's kind of like what the Steelers are, honestly. It's like a really heavy defense, run game, quarterback just don't screw up. Like, that's kind of where we're at right now.
Pretty much, yeah.
So, yeah.
And
I'm
Fields
with
has
the
been playing,
Chargers.
honestly, for all the hate that Fields has been getting, he's been playing a great job. He's been doing a great job. All the hate that people gave him in Chicago, and he's out here winning games. So
The problem is, though, it's literally the same issues where he doesn't deserve the contract they were going to have to give him. He still doesn't deserve that contract. Like, we're in the same boat we were in Chicago, but
it's not his fault that the contracts are this inflated. You know what I mean?
I mean, I agree completely. He's a victim of the system, but yeah, I understand both sides on that. But I am happy that he's actually winning.
Keep working to get better, Fields. That's all I care about.
For sure. Okay, on to the do we say who's? Oh yeah, Chargers. All right, on to the next game. Texans, Vikings. Josh, tell us about the Texans.
Oh, well, you don't really need to know about the Texans because you're going to start pretty much everyone you have in your backfield. I guess the biggest thing just coming off is Mixon's injury. How bad is it? We don't know. We're seeing this with CeeDee Lamb right now where he came back in the game and, seemingly looked fine in the game. Mixon came back and, he's hopeful to play and whatnot, but is he going to play is the question. So this is where I think our first fill-in question comes from. Is it Akers? Is it Pierce? I think if Pierce is out, you could start Akers in the flex. I don't love it. I wouldn't do it if I were you. I think this ends up just being a passing game at this point. Obviously, there will be touches around, but I do think that Pierce, if he plays, is very intriguing to me. I also just have a love affair for Pierce. Deserves all the love because he is a great running back and kind of got overshadowed by Singletary last year. But other than that, you already know what you're doing. Nico, number one wide receiver in yardage in the league. Stephon Diggs playing. Tank Dell, I think, flex if you need. Always could hit. It's been a little shaky last week, especially. Didn't look super great for Dell, but there's definitely hope there. And Dalton Schultz having a rough little start to the season, but more than likely, if you drafted Dalton Schultz, you probably got another tight end. So Dalton Schultz if you need, and then you're playing CJ Stroud. So it's pretty much almost everyone on this team can start, which is the fun thing.
I would love for them to be starting to get a little bit better, though, sooner rather than later. I know the Texans or Chicago's a good defense, but I'd love to see a little bit more. Tank Dell, by the way, I have my eyebrow raised at Tank Dell because I don't know. I haven't loved it, and he's coming off of a huge injury, and I don't know. Eyebrow is raised, but
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he is involved in the run game at least. I mean, for his sake, you know what I mean? So, but 70 yards between the two games is not great. Nico's killing it just all around, and then Stephon's getting touchdowns. So, Tank Dell, I mean, we wondered who was the odd man out. At the current moment, it's Tank Dell. I'm not saying that is going to be forever, but at the moment, it's Tank Dell. I mean, I could have expected this. I mean, Nico was just so amazing last year, and Tank Dell was like the backup if Nico wasn't available. And with Stephon Diggs, you have to throw him the ball, otherwise he's going to get mad. And the Texans are being smart right now and giving him the ball. So, I mean, and yes, it's not even that much. It's just he's getting touchdowns, so he's happy probably.
I'm just glad I didn't fall for the Nico is over. It's Stephon Diggs' team now because it's I don't know about that. But Tank Dell, though, I'm a little bit surprised because they're.
I want to say Stephon Diggs is over the hill, but he's one step away from being Brandon Cooks.
Sure, that sounds right. Okay, on to the Vikings. Sam Darnold, actually a decent play. Do you remember a couple years ago when Sam Darnold was starting? I forget who it was leaving for. Maybe it was the Panthers. And he was having all those rushing touchdowns at the beginning of the season. And we were like, what the hell is this? Okay, this is all right. I don't know what's going on here, but Sam Darnold's looking good. Kind of having the same vibes, but the passing game is working here. I don't know if I've necessarily loved Sam Darnold, but they're scheming enough easy plays for him to where he's making it work.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this. He had a 97-yard touchdown to Jefferson. That is
who's throwing over 200 yards these days? It's like nobody. There's hardly any quarterback throwing for 200 yards.
10 quarterback right now. This is exactly what I'm talking about. The overreactions. This is one.
I'm not saying it's overreaction. We just got to ride whatever wave is going on right now, and the defenses are overpowering the offenses. Offenses will catch up, but it's just happening.
You're going to get there, but is Jefferson playing? I mean,
Well, that's what I have wondered here with Jefferson. He did get hurt in the game. I gotta imagine he's going to be out there. He did practice today limitedly, which does mean that's a good thing because that means he probably, if he's full practice tomorrow, he'll be good to go for the weekend. But I still feel comfortable starting him.
Oh, you have to. If he plays, you start him. Because the thing is, we talked
Yeah.
about this. He is quarterback proof. He's got 4 catches in each game so far, and he's still putting up double-digit points. So
True.
take the win, man. You should be happy. Or sorry,
Jordan Addison's coming back this week, so that probably is the nail in Jalen Naylor's coffin. Like that one. Yeah,
that was good.
no,
that was good.
It
was good.
Tough audience. All right, on to the rushing. Ty Chandler was very effective in the game on Sunday. Aaron Jones kind of he's out there. He's having fun. Nothing spectacular, but nothing great either. I think both these guys might be usable in this game just because they went against the San Francisco 49ers and they were effective. So I think if they go against the Texans, I think they'll have a decent run as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I think Aaron Jones is I think people are overreacting to the Chandler thing. I'm not starting Chandler yet. I think pickup, great, sure. Feel free, but let's see it again. You know what I mean? I want to see Aaron Jones not get the ball enough. You know what I mean? The 9 carries for Aaron Jones makes me say, yes, absolutely start Chandler. But the week before where they were winning the game, all of a sudden, I think the Vikings are going to be at a deficit more than often. So therefore Chandler will be better in the long run. But I think Aaron Jones still has a role here right now, especially in close games, which I don't know whether this one's going to be or not because they looked good against the 49ers or the 49ers looked bad. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to tell, but it should be a good game overall. Pretty much nobody else is useful at this point in time. Texans win in my book.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's my pick. But honestly, the picks have been weird last week. If you're gonna pick them, a survivor pool, you probably are out.
Yeah, I have been riding the weird wave. I've been, every big spread, I'm just I don't want any part of it, and that's been working out so far. All right, let's get to a couple of these questions. Ruguru says, Darnold or Lawrence? Woof. I'm going Darnold. I hate the Jaguars right now. That is a scary team to have any piece of.
Unfortunately, I probably agree at the moment. I don't understand why Christian Kirk's not getting targets, but here we are. So, I mean, your best receiver on the team is not getting the ball. So, Brian Thomas is, though. We'll get there soon.
Well, even Brian Thomas, there was only 2 catches last week. But, yeah, we'll get there in a second. But, yeah, Darnold is the start. As long as Justin Jefferson's out there, yes. I mean, yes, you have one North Star in the offense, so you might as well go with it.
As you see, he got him almost, 50% of his yardage last week. So,
yeah, the Vikings being 2-0 is just effing with my brain because I think with
JJ McCarthy,
they're not 2-0.
This is the overreaction.
It's not overreaction. How is it an overreaction? It's just I can't believe they're 2-0. That's
they will lose games. Don't you worry.
Well, no kidding, but they beat the San Francisco 49ers, so it is kind of notable a little bit.
It is
nice. No Christian McCaffrey, I get it, but it's it was still kind of weird. All right, Jaws on YouTube says Overshown a good start again. Looks like he was utilized to shadow Watson week 1, Lamar on deck, and he said he might need a sub for Al-Shaair. I think Overshown's a fine start this week. I'm in. Why?
18
Mozzie
snaps
Smith is out for them. Well, that's true, but with a running quarterback, it might be a little bit better. Derek Carr was not a threat to run.
That is true. That also might have been a fluke game with the Saints because they did get wrecked. You're welcome, Ruru. You guys wrecked the Cowboys, and I do a thank you for that at least. Can you guys take it easy next week? Yeah, I mean, even with 4 tackles and his 18 snaps is still pretty impressive. He needs to be on the field more is what it comes down to. So I do agree that Overshown is one of those, he's a Deshaun Jackson play, man. You're hoping for the big play. Or to just be on the field.
That's for sure. And then as far as might need a sub for Al-Shaair, I would love to know who you have on your team already, but
2-0 is going to go off if Al-Shaair is out again. For a long time.
And also if you need a linebacker, I would probably look at Dennis Gardeck for the Cardinals. So last year, Dennis Gardeck was a defensive end, or they classified him as DL or something, but this year on Sleeper, he's a linebacker. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's very, very strange, and he is probably available on a lot of waiver wires. Then again, if you're in a deep league, probably not. So I would love
No,
to know
I'm pretty
who
sure
the
he's
top.
available in all of our leagues, pretty much, or most of them.
I would bet so, but he popped last season. He just got kind of sent away, but
Also,
he's back.
On the same spot, Zaven Collins might not be available, but could be. He gets tackles too. That's what's impressive about him. Buffalo had 9 tackles and a sack last week against the Rams, less tackles, but that's one of those like low floor kind of guys. And also kind of happy to just see him pop off a little bit. So
yeah. Okay, let's get on to the Eagles and Saints. The Rougarou versus Josh battle for supremacy right here. I like it a lot. Josh, I guess you can talk about the Eagles. I don't know if you know anything about them.
yeah, man, I've heard about him a couple times. Jalen Hurts, glad to see him be a running back again. He looks comfortable doing it. I don't love when he runs, but he's doing it well, so therefore I'm happy with it. Saquon is going to come out with a vengeance. The Eagles are going to try to control the clock as much as possible in this game because they did not do a good job of that in the Falcons, and the Saints keep scoring. So Saquon all day. I mean, not that you're ever going to not start him. And then Devontae Smith, man, filled in really well for AJ Brown. Didn't have a target until like mid first quarter, so it was really weird. And I guess Jahan Dotson is just not who we think he is. I thought that those targets to Britton Covey would be to him. They were not. So unfortunately, Dotson is, I almost say cut, but like he's a cut candidate at the very least if you need to fill in a spot. I think Dotson surprisingly isn't on waivers in any of my leagues right now. And Goddard, this is the kind of game where he would have to play. The Eagles were never down in either of the games they played so far, so Goddard hasn't had to be the receiving guy. He's been the blocker, so Goddard is good to fire up this week, especially with a Saints offense that is screaming. So,
yeah, gonna have a hands full this week on the Eagles side. The Eagles, I hate to say it, Josh, they might be looking for a new coach soon.
It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. That was definitely.
I don't believe in Sirianni. I don't believe in Sirianni.
It was definitely a coaching loss, but the play calling is not coming from him. So unfortunately, I mean, they will probably. The Belichick thing is looking more and more likely, but that was definitely a coaching loss all around. But what more importantly, what it is it's a Jeff Lurie loss, or no, sorry, Howie Roseman loss. We should have signed Reddick. Clearly should have signed Reddick. Bryce Huff is not it. He looks like a complete bust.
Hell
and then
no.
half of these defensive lineman draft picks are looking like busts as well. Our whole D line is Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter are not stopping the run. Those are the two things that they're supposed to do, or the two people that are supposed to do that, and they haven't done it. So Milton Williams is our best defensive
I think
tackle.
you're missing a defensive end, and that is the big issue with this team. There's literally no one able to rush the passer. Your pass rusher is coming from your tackles, which is D tackles, which is not a good thing to have going.
I was really hoping for with Vic Fangio that we would end up doing not just rushing 4, but for some reason the Eagles culture has been rush 4 only. We can play coverage, but we haven't played coverage. So like blitz, just try it. 5 guys, 6 guys, like throw some extra. Like Zach Bond looks like a defensive end on that team, so throw him at it every once in a while as well. Like you don't have to do it every time, but there's got to be some times where you got to put Bond in.
Definitely something. All right, on to the Saints. Look, Derek Carr looks like a QB1. It's creepy. Alvin Kamara, also good. I did see something that Derek Carr really only comes out during election seasons, and I was thinking about it. Yeah, 2020 was the last time that he played well, so I guess he's just getting in before the election.
He's a political prop.
Yeah, he really is. That's Derek Carr. But anyway, yeah, so Derek Carr's back. That's crazy to think. Alvin Kamara also back. He looked like
Alvin Kamara never left, dude.
Alvin Kamara looked like a young Alvin Kamara out there on Sunday. That was kind of fun to watch. The Cowboys supposedly had a good defense. That remains to be seen. As far as other players on this team, Rashid Shaheed is a start. I think he's good to go each and every week. It's usually one big play that gets the points, but if he's going to keep doing it, it's kind of like back in the day with Tyrell Williams and Deshaun Jackson to a little extent, whereas like that one big play makes up for the whole game, really, and that seems to be Rashid Shaheed. Olave is a start, but I am getting a little concerned with it because it seems like he should be doing better based on the fact that the entire offense looks unstoppable right now, and he is not a part of that, so that's kind of weird. But I'm assuming sooner rather than later we're going to be seeing Olave come through.
I actually,
And
so
then,
one thing that the Eagles have actually done well is defend the deep ball. And maybe they oversold it a lot actually on the last drive of the Falcons game with their little cover 3 defense for 4 plays in a row while they marched down the field. But anyway, long story short here, Shaheed, I actually have as not a sit because, you can't sit him right now, but I think you're going to see a cutback here. I mean, we're talking 4 catches for 90 yards, man. Like that's not going to happen every game. And yes, the big touchdown, that's always really nice. I think Olave is the guy here. He can find that little man coverage. I don't know who he's going to be matched up against, but Slay.
Marshawn Lattimore is probably out there. So, or no, Slay is going to be out there.
Yeah, but Slay let London walk into it for a touchdown. You got Quinyon Mitchell, who's actually playing really good defense, but he's beatable at the moment. He's a rook. He's trying to learn the league. So, and then if he's in the slot, Avonte Maddox got a little banged up in the last game. Not sure if he's going to play, so we might have Cooper DeJean playing. But I'm just saying, I think this is an Olave game. I think Olave actually ends up getting a lot of targets because I think this game ends up being closer than the Saints are used to at the moment.
Well, we hope so. Olave, we miss you. I actually have the Saints winning, Josh. I love you.
I'm going to pick the Saints too because I always pick the other team, but I actually kind of believe it this time.
First time I kind of believe it. All right, quickly with these comments, we'll speed up after that. B-Wags, Quincy Williams, pencil in. Bond, Reader, Luvu, also options with Overshown. Bond is the option. I don't even need it. It's Bond, and especially against this team where he is going to be – they're going to need every bit of Bond in this game. Ruger says
not to mention 15 tackles and then 9 tackles. I mean, he's the guy.
Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, Nakobe Dean does a lot that box score doesn't show, but like those two work great as a tandem. They just need defensive end.
You play Bond and Dean until Devin White actually sees the field, and
which like Nolan Smith. Where are you? Put an SOS for Nolan Smith.
Well, he's an edge rusher, but same concept.
Well, I know that's what I'm saying. They need an edge rusher, and like, come on, where are you?
All the snaps are just boring, and like they just kind of fight the offensive lineman. Trust me.
True. All right, Ruger says I'm curious to see where Marshawn Lattimore lines up. I don't
see him floating. I see him covered, basically just shading Dotson the whole time on the outside.
Yeah, which maybe not
playing
the best use.
The slot finally, and here we are. So that's looking good. But
all right, Bond versus Saints seems concerning with low snap counts and low pressure rates. Well, he's a linebacker. He doesn't need a pressure rate. He's good for the big impact plays. That's what Bond's out there for, and he's going to get a lot of tackles. Like he's going to be tackling Kamara.
There were 3 or 4 plays where he was just standing watching Dean get the tackle. He's like, "You deserve this," and then he was ready to go if the guy made it out. So that's literally 2-3 more tackles that he would have had if he wanted to get involved. So yeah,
the fact that Devin White doesn't exist anymore, that's all I needed to see from Bond. Like that's okay.
Well, we're not going to get into the White conversation, but he will have a role at some point. I just want to say it. We'll get there.
I mean, they got to make him happy first. Now he's mad. All right, on to the next game. We got the Broncos versus the Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield, the number 1 quarterback in the league right now, which is not where in all I thought we would be in 2024 talking about. But through 2 weeks, Baker Mayfield's number 1. I don't get it, and I don't know how to process it. But
honestly,
here we are.
Honestly, though, we should have seen this coming. I mean, not number 1, but you know what I mean. Like
I would not. I mean, maybe like top 5 if everything went right.
Well, he's not going to end up number 1.
Crazy.
But I'm just,
but the fact that we're even talking about it, I know. Josh. The thing is, the fact that we're even saying the words is insane. But anyway, they're going against the Broncos, which is a much tougher task than playing in the first 2 games with semi-weak defenses. Lions, I'm still sketched out by them. But the Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, good to go. Rachaad White and Bucky, they're going to figure it out. This defense is kind of a weird one to run against, but they're still going to get their yards. And then Mike Evans and Godwin are good to go both. It seems like one of them's good for a big game and the other one's going to get a mild game, but that's what happens when you have 2 alphas on the team. I'm glad to see Baker focusing on his stars for a change and not just throwing to Cade Otton or Trey Palmer or whoever the hell else is out there that has a jersey on. I'm glad that we're kind of sticking to the plan and sticking to our stars. Love to see it from Baker. It's almost like he should have been doing this his entire career.
I'm happy that he's finally throwing to Godwin, but I'm sad that I have no Godwin shares anymore because I gave up on him after last year. But
yeah. I mean, I can't blame you.
Yeah, I mean, last year was rough for him. So anyway, Broncos on the offensive side, don't worry about it. The only person you're even thinking about starting, you might have to, is Javonte. I will say the one good thing about Javonte is he is getting decent amount of touches. It's not his fault that they're losing games the whole time. So the rush yards are awful. Great to see him involved in the passing game last week, but yeah, Javonte is probably still a sit at this point. And I'm sorry to say it, but Jaleel McLaughlin didn't do any better either. So it's not I don't think it's a Javonte thing. I think it's a team thing.
It's an O line. It's an O line thing. Yeah,
it's an O line thing. Javonte's still a good running back, but hold on to him for a little bit longer. See what happens. Do not trade at your lowest. I will always say that. One person or two people, I guess I'm interested in is Veli, I believe. However you want to pronounce it. Had 8 targets the first game and 8 catches. They were all screen passes essentially, but it did work to be something. And if that is something in the future, he does seem to be the favorite wide receiver target, which brings me to my point. Dulcich with Veli out is that guy. So 8 targets for him. Unfortunately, didn't catch any of those. So one of those stash for tight ends if you're struggling. So you have a Dalton Schultz or a Sterling tight end at the moment. So, but yeah, no, don't start anyone. Absolutely not.
Yeah, kind of disgusting, but is what it is. I think the Buccaneers win this game, but this is a trap game if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, no, I'm not picking the Broncos for a long time.
I'm not picking the Broncos, but be cautious with your survivor pool picks. I'm just saying.
I could see the Buccaneers coming down to earth because the Broncos defense actually is pretty good. The only reason they've been in any of these games, but at the same time, Baker should be able to pick them apart.
We're going to talk about the other 2 rookies, but which rookie do you think throws the first touchdown of the season?
Has
no rookies have thrown a touchdown pass yet.
I just realized you're probably right. It's probably Caleb because of their easy schedule this week, or easy matchup. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it's Daniel. He's looking really good. Like Jaden Daniels has been looking phenomenal.
Well, I would say, Jaden Daniels is playing on Monday night, so he's got to put. But we've been 2 games through everybody, and none has thrown any touchdowns yet. So still waiting on number 1 from the rookie class. Sadly,
we'll get to the Bears really shortly, but I think it's our guy Caleb Williams, number 1 pick in the draft.
Yeah, I don't know if Bo Nix has it, but it's a rookie.
So I think they both throw for a touchdown this week, though.
It'd be nice to see one. All right. With that being said, I do think it's the Buccaneers, but on to the Packers versus the Titans, the Malik Willis revenge game. I apologize for everything I said about Malik Willis. I'm not saying that he's good, but it does seem like they put him in a good enough position to win the game. I think that game said a lot more about the Colts than it did the Packers, but whatever. Here we are. They won the game. They did everything they wanted to do in that game. Packers-wise, I still don't feel comfortable playing anyone except for Josh Jacobs. Like, Malik Willis did not make me feel better about this offense. They weren't good. He didn't throw for enough yards, and his team still looks like a joke to me, other than a good defense and a solid run game. That's all they got.
I just have one thing to add is they were winning this game from the start. So they were like, we can keep with our plan, just run the shit out of the football, which they did really well, which kept them in the lead pretty much until the end where they almost gave it away. So in reality, I do think Jaden Reed can be played. I don't advise it if you have a better option. I think that this game specifically, we're going to see a little bit more closer game. You know what I mean? It's not going to be – the Titans have a good defense. They can stop the run pretty well. So I think they're going to be forced to throw. And Malik Willis looked fine throwing, but he was throwing safety balls. You know what I mean? It wasn't a deep shot or anything here and there. So I don't advise it, but I'm saying if you need to, I don't think it's a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want any Packer other than Josh Jacobs starting on the team. Just me personally.
On the other side of the ball, Titans, the only person you're playing here is Pollard. You can't really argue with what he's been doing. 33 carries to Tyjae Spears 10, and looking pretty decent while he's doing them as well. The pass game, they're pretty even. So I don't think there's really one way or another who's the pass guy because they're both the exact same running back, which we've been talking about. Yes, Calvin Ridley had a decent day, but I don't know if I trust it consistently enough yet. I mean, I guess the Packers, the problem is he's probably going to be going against, for one, McKinney's going to be back there, but he's probably going to be going against Jair the whole game. So I don't love Ridley in this game, and I think that's the only one you'd want to start. I don't know where Hopkins is at. I don't know if he's still injured or what, but two catches in a season after 2 games is not great for Hopkins. And I do love Boyd, but you can't start him at the moment. So Levis has not shown enough after playing, 2 games. So the 3 interceptions is going to kill him every time. So I think the Packers win this game personally.
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to win this game too. Will Levis, I don't know who he thinks he is out there, but man, some of the plays that he tries are just like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, stop doing that. And he just continues to go out there. I can tell the coach is getting fed up with him. So I think he's got 2 more weeks to figure it out, or I think we're seeing Mason Rudolph for the Titans. But so the Packers win, and I think the Titans are fighting for a top draft pick right now, personally.
Yeah, I mean, you got some part of it has to work, right? And if it's not Hopkins, then it's pretty much over, right? Like, I mean, or like you need Hopkins to be Hopkins to make this team work. And so far he's not that. So I think that until Hopkins plays football and Will Levis starts making better decisions, it's pretty much over.
Yeah. Okay, on to the Giants versus the Browns. I mean, talk about a disgusting game. The only player you're playing in this game is Neighbors, and that's only because they're throwing him the ball 18 times in a game. If that's the kind of volume, they weren't. But if that's kind of volume, I mean, you got to assume eventually he's going to catch some of them. So I mean, yeah, that's your only player. Devin Singletary, I didn't hate it, but it's still hard to trust.
Yeah, I don't think you're really feeling good about it. Honestly, I was feeling good about Jerome Ford getting 6 catches in a game and 12 carries, 18 touches total seemed really nice, and then he just got 7 and Deontay Foreman took over. So I don't feel good about, and he didn't even look good. So I don't know why he's taking over, but run game's dead on Cleveland. Deshaun Watson's been dead for a long time, and passing game is just so split up. Like, there's no number 1 target. I mean, Judy and Moore both have 14 targets and Cooper has 17, and Cooper has 27 yards on those 17 targets. So I don't know like what you're going to do with those guys, but I do know that you should not be starting them.
Yeah, no, this is
the good news is the Giants defense is pretty gross. Like, you know what I mean? So like hypothetically someone might break spring free, but I just don't recommend hoping that you have the right one, because it could be Elijah Moore for all we know. You know what I mean?
I just feel like this season more than most seasons, like if you don't have one of the like elite players right now, like you're probably off to a bad start in your league. And that is not how fantasy football is supposed to work. But again, overreactions week 2. I get it, Josh. I'm not saying
no. I'm not. This is not an overreaction. This looks awful.
But like, it's just so bleak right now for some of these games. I mean, games
as we're talking about Neighbors here, at least Neighbors gets 18 targets in a game. These guys are getting 7 targets for 2 catches. Like, what are you supposed to do with that? Like, I mean, if you look at Cooper, man, like he's got 17 targets, but like he's done absolutely nothing with. So you can't play these guys. Like, and unfortunately,
it's disgusting. And
the weird thing is Cooper will have a touchdown at some point, but with this, you can't play him. Like,
the Browns are probably another popular pick for survivor pools, but like, man, how in the world do you feel good of doing that? I mean, I know the Giants suck, but tough week. I mean, the Browns win, but
I'd say the Browns win too, sadly. But yeah, as Ruguru put it, it is flowers covering a turd.
I mean,
a lot of flowers at that.
I don't mean to progressively make this worse. This 12 o'clock window is just disgusting. But the next game on the list is Bears Colts, and here we go again. The Bears unusable right now. They're just unusable.
No. Time out. I actually have a theory here, and this goes against all the theories that I've said against Caleb Williams, which I do want to say that I was right. All y'all people comparing him to Jordan without playing a snap, silly. I don't understand where that came from. But a lot of like hype went into Caleb Williams, right? So I think Caleb Williams himself got convinced that he's just the shit, which he is really good. Like, he's a really good football player. We know that. He also played the Titans and the Houston Texans, arguably two of the best defenses in the league. Like, I've said, Houston Texans is the best defense in the league. There was the 36 of 37 or whatever pressures of dropbacks for Caleb last week. I don't know exact numbers, but I know it was like one that wasn't a pressure. The reason that is because they can't run the football because the defense was stuffing the run. Both teams are really good against stuffing the run. And then what are you going to do? Make a rookie quarterback throw the football. And yes, Caleb got a little flustered and made a couple mistakes here. So anyway, I want to say actually this is the perfect opportunity for Caleb to shine. I'm not suggesting starting him, but if you do need to, I don't disagree with it. Colts defense is not it. Obviously, we saw what happened last week. But this is
for
100%.
the run game. For the run game, like they gave up 122 yards passing. Like that's not.
But the second the run game gets going, Caleb has a chance to throw the ball. I think everyone is back into play this week. Swift should be starting in your lineups. Caleb should have never been starting in your lineup, but if you have to, I actually think this is the play. I might be going on a limb here, but I think this is where he gets right. I mean, it's not going to be 300 yards for 4 touchdowns, but 220 for two touchdowns, very possible. I will say DJ Moore seemingly his favorite target. Obviously, he lost Keenan, but DJ Moore getting the work there, it's just hasn't looked good because he can't throw the ball downfield because they know that the ball is going down the field because they can't run the football. Adunze obviously would love to see him start here, and that would actually pretty much negate everything I just said because there is no depth to this Bears defense or Bears offense. So no. I just want to say this is and Joe came back to America at the perfect time because he missed the first 2 games. He doesn't actually know what happened to these football games other than the stat score of the box score.
Not a whole lot to watch. And then on the other side, Anthony Richardson is just a wild card throwing the football. I assume it's eventually going to get better, but Michael Pittman is actually the wide receiver 3 on this team as it stands right now. And that is just not going to work. Alec Pierce looks really good. Don't trust Doolin. That was one big play. But Michael Pittman really needs to get more involved. And I don't know if that's going to happen with Anthony Richardson. And then Jonathan Taylor is obviously a start.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Pittman, man. It is. I mean, I understand we talked about this, and you said he's the slot guy, he's the short guy, like short play guy. And yes, the big plays have been happening with Richardson because they pretty much need those big plays. So when they don't get the big plays, Pittman's just not there for that. So I don't know what happened because honestly, the first 2 games of Richardson's career, he latched on to Pittman, and now he's latching on to these other guys. I guess I hate it for the Pittman shares, but honestly,
Steichen needs to figure it out. Like he's a good player, he's a good quarterback developer, but kind of needs something to happen here. So I don't love it. I actually think the Bears are going to win this game. The Colts just don't look good enough to me on offense or defense to win a full football game.
So, I mean, going along with what I said, so I personally think that the Bears, for one, win this game. I don't want to say shadow of a doubt, but their defense is, once again, one of the number 1 defenses in the league. So I think they hold them in this game. Richardson makes some mistakes, and I think the Bears defense holds Richardson to pretty much nothing. Obviously, there might be a breakaway here and there, but I think Caleb actually gets off the ground a bit, at least enough to secure a victory.
Sure would help. It'd be more fun than watching. I'll get to these comments really quick. Josh says, Pat Jones and Mini legit. Sleepy Waiver will claim that 2-week stat line. Still need to see his film, though. I mean, as long as it's working, I would say yes. I mean, he's played 2 really good teams, and he's looked good both weeks. So, I don't know. I think that's actually pretty useful. I have been noticing that, too. I picked him up in a league, Pat Jones. Just see what happened. Ruguru, Montez Sweat, Will McDonald's killing me. I actually think it might be Will McDonald, especially with Jermaine Johnson going out. I think Will McDonald's going to get a lot more run in the Jets now. I do like Montez Sweat, but this defense for the Bears it's not one person every week. It's a spread around good defense, not really focused on one main player.
Well, also Montez Sweat hasn't done anything yet, so I'm cool with leaving him on the bench for now.
Right. And then Josh just says, could have had Will McDonald, was never too high on him. I mean, I'm not either. It's just opportunity is going to be the king here. Okay. We are going to go to the Panthers versus the Raiders. It is a disgusting game to get to again. The Panthers finally are trying out Andy Dalton. They have benched Bryce Young because that is what the gods have been wanting to happen for this entire time. As far as the Panthers go, I'm actually back interested in their players, kind of. I just want to see it first a little bit from Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle. I do like Thielen. I do think that him and Andy Dalton have a connection. I would like to see that. I do think the running game might actually get a little something going. It won't be great, but I think I can actually envision it this week. But Jonathan Brooks can't come back fast enough, and the rest of these guys just aren't doing anything for me right now. But with Bryce Young, it was much worse than this.
Actually, fun fact, people hate him, but the Panther or Miles Sanders actually looks pretty decent. He's just not getting any.
He does.
Like, I mean, every time I see him touch the ball, it looks good, but for some reason they're still giving it to Chuba, and it's like I don't understand why they think Chuba is better than Miles Sanders and why they're paying Miles Sanders money, but whatever.
Those practices better. It must be crazy. What do you got for the Raiders?
Nobody. No, just kidding. Devontae Adams is back. We saw it last week. Great to see him have a game like he did, and not to mention Gardner Minshew finally finding his number one star. On that same point, we thought that we'd be fine with Jacoby Myers had a down week because Brock Bowers took the rest of the targets away. So 9 and 8 targets in his first 2 games. Brock Bowers is everything we thought he was going to be. Still not really sure why they drafted Mayer if they were going to do this, but I love what they did here. So honestly, it's just Bowers and Devontae Adams. The run game is in shambles. Everyone who rushed to go pick up Alexander Madison, I hope you realized your mistake. Hopefully you didn't spend too much free agent bucks or, I don't know, your waiver wire move on him. Zamir White looks just awful at the moment. I don't know if it's an offensive line thing or a him thing. I actually haven't really been able to watch the Raiders games because they're at the 3 o'clock hour and I got to pick my games. And that's not one of the ones I want to pick. So Devontae Adams, always a great play. I hope that you didn't panic after week 1 because it was pretty ugly. And then Brock Bowers looks like the real deal, has a very decent shot to be the tight end 1 in the league at this moment. I mean, if we want to talk about overreactions.
No, you're right. You're right. And it's because he is the one tight end that's actually being schemed to be used. It's not just like a cherry on top. It's like he's actually a part of the actual cupcake. And that's, pretty important to have. So, yeah, Raiders are going to win this.
Sure. I don't really care.
I'd still feel scared putting them in my survivor if I was had that survivor pick because.
Well, Andy Dalton, man, red rifle.
Andy Dalton can make anything happen, it feels like. So, yeah. All right, on to the next game. Another slightly disgusting one, Dolphins-Seahawks. So, Skylar Thompson's going to play. He's going to be the starter. I hate everything about that. I wish they would have signed somebody to come in, but I kind of respect them because they seem to think that after 4 they're going to be cleared and back and ready to go, which I just don't think that's a good thing to do. But whatever, we can off-season that one up. As far as the Dolphins go, Achane actually looked pretty good still, even with Skylar Thompson in there. He was getting some targets, and he's still getting a decent amount of run. However, Skylar Thompson can't throw the ball that well, so you're going to have to downgrade all of your players. That includes Tyreek. I do think Tyreek can still take a 10-yard pass and take it 80 yards, but I don't feel good about anybody else.
I'm not loving, and this is one thing I hated about the Tyreek when he first got to the Dolphins was he was getting these screen passes and doing nothing with them and honestly just putting himself in danger. I wish they would just take the shot like Josh Allen does with his random wide receivers, or at least in the past years.
Well, Tua couldn't do it. Skylar Thompson definitely can't do it. So I don't think that's going to happen. I don't have to worry about that. That's it. This team sucks now. This team sucks now.
I actually think you can sit Waddle at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah, you better be sitting Waddle. Honestly.
It's the time where you're like, that didn't work. I actually sat him on accident in the Scott Fish Bowl. Didn't even mean to. And I was like, man, I look like a genius right now. End up losing to Drake London's touchdown against the Eagles, which hurt me, but whatever. All right, on the other side of the ball, Ken Walker, if he plays, you play him. If Charbonnet plays, I really don't think you play him. Yes, he's getting enough of a workload. Yeah, the touchdowns have saved him, but in reality, he's not that great. I guess in the past game, decently. I mean, that's nice to be involved in that. Ken Walker really isn't. So that is one thing that Charbonnet has, I guess, on the upside. So if you need him, desperation flex play, sure. But otherwise, Ken Walker, when he's healthy, he starts. DK Metcalf, great to see him finally get the game he deserves. And JSN. So game 1 was Lockett and as the number 1, and we were just all like, what happened? I actually dropped JSN in the league because I had him too many places, did some weird stuff, picked up Brian Robinson. I mean, he shouldn't have been in there either. So was hoping to get him back. Broke out. I'm never getting him back. He's gone. I think JSN's still a flex. DK Metcalf's a wide receiver 1, as he should always be. But after that, it's nothing. Noah Fant isn't it. I don't know why people kept making the Geno Smith Noah Fant thing a thing. Geno Smith also isn't it, but somebody's got to throw the ball to all these wide receivers.
Yeah. Seahawks.
100%.
Damn.
Stay and maybe 3-0. Wild.
Yeah, the NFL is a wild place right now. Okay, on to Baltimore versus the Cowboys. This is a weird game because Baltimore is 0-2 right now. As far as the Ravens go, I don't know what happened last week against the Raiders, but they completely just disregarded everything that worked against the Chiefs and went a completely different direction. And I don't really know or understand why, because, I mean, I'm an Isaiah Likely fan. I get it. I'm probably in the bag a little bit for him. But, like, to target him 2 times after targeting him, like, 11 in the first game doesn't make any sense at all, and it clearly didn't work out. Like, it clearly didn't make any sense to do that in the game. So that kind of sucked. I still think Isaiah Likely's got to be on your starting roster because the team only is going to work if he's getting targets like he did in the first game. This team desperately needs a wide receiver too. Zay Flowers is good to go. He got the same amount of targets. Second half, didn't get targeted that much. He made that known on Twitter, which was funny. But yeah, probably need to do that a little bit more. And then Mark Andrews, it was nice to see him back. It's just this team looks so lethargic with Mark Andrews as the 2 option on this team. I know that they're trying to do right by him, and I can appreciate that on some level, but this team is just disgusting with the way that this offense works with Mark Andrews. And then Derrick Henry's good to go. I would love to see a little bit more. I mean, he seems to just be a plodding running back, and it would be nice to see him just bust one out for 100 and something yards. But
all right,
it is what it is.
I just want to correct everything you just said. Andrews was always going to be involved. You are a stan.
He could be involved.
You're correct. You're correct about Likely. It does make no sense that he only got 2 targets after getting 11. But I just
this team looked horrible with the way that they did this last week.
That the whole team looked horrible. It wasn't the fact that Likely didn't get enough targets. It was the fact that the whole team.
Okay, the offense in the first game versus the Chiefs versus the offense against the Raiders. You can't have one look great and then
one of those
look
playing down to opponents, man. I mean, the Eagles just did it with the Falcons. I mean, it's going to happen. There's going to be playing down moments, and that's exactly what happened with the Ravens. But anyway,
I know Mark Andrews is going to be involved, but to be the second option on the team is not going to work. They're not going to win if they don't do it a different way.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, let's get to the Cowboys. So they're coming off an embarrassing loss, and Dak and he. The problem here is the Ravens defense is really good, right? So this is the worst comeback. Like, man, we just had an embarrassing loss. Now we need to come back and play, I don't know, arguably a great defense, top 5 defense at the very least. CeeDee Lamb might not play. He didn't practice Wednesday. So we're not looking off to a great start. If CeeDee Lamb's out, you sit everyone on the Cowboys. I just want to say maybe play Rico Dowdle because you might get enough screen passes to where it's worth something. Dak is a sit without CeeDee Lamb. I just want to go ahead and say that. The number 1 paid quarterback in the league is a sit without his number 1 wide receiver. Can't say that about a lot of quarterbacks that are highly paid, but this is one of them you can. Dak can't find anyone other than CeeDee. Tolbert had a pretty decent game last week. Cooks had a good game week 1. Other than that, man, he's bouncing passes off people's face masks and stuff. This wide receiver room should have been improved, and it is not. So CeeDee Lamb, if he plays, you start him. I honestly think Rico Dowdle is a decent flex play. I think you can start him right away if you need to, but especially if CeeDee's out, I actually kind of like that. But Dak only if CeeDee plays, in my opinion.
I agree. And it's almost like we talked about the entire offseason of like, hey, are they going to I don't know, add somebody to this team to make it better? And they're like, nah, we're just going to run it back with what we got. Well, here's where we
America's game of the week, I'm sure. You didn't say it, but I just
actually don't know if it is because there's 3 in the 325 window. So it could be any of them.
Yeah, the Cowboys are in the 325 window. So,
well, right. Well, I guess that's true because they're all on Fox too. So it's kind of tough to tell. But anyway. On to the Lions. Oh, the Cowboys win the game? I don't know.
I'm picking the Ravens, actually.
Okay. Can't hate on that logic. All right, on to the next game. Lions versus the Cardinals. I think this is going to be the most fun game of the weekend. I
100%.
love both of these offenses. I'll talk about the Cardinals first. Kyler, yes. Marvin Harrison Jr., welcome to the league, my man. That was fun. I mean, it was 4 catches, but still, that game was out of hand so quick that you couldn't do anything else. Trey McBride looks good. Dortch was kind of blanketed, but whatever. Michael Wilson looked good. It was good to see him getting involved. James Conner looked good. Trey Benson. Okay, we'll stop there. Trey Benson's not good enough to start quite yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there with the usage. But this Cardinals team is a full go. I love it. They're good.
Yeah, I will say that's one thing I was completely wrong about in the offseason. This one guy who didn't even get involved week 1 literally made the team better instantly. I just really assumed that it was just going to be okay-ish. But, no, Harrison finally getting involved. And, like you said, I'd like to see a little bit more catches on that. But on the other side of the ball, I just want to say do not panic, Detroit Lions fans, which I know you guys are because you're used to the L's. Jared Goff is fine. He's a start if you need him. More than likely, you probably don't need him. But if you do, he's a start. Montgomery and Gibbs, I don't think any question in anyone's mind about whether you can start both of them. They're so even and it's so perfect. And the fact that they have 2 running backs that can actually be fantasy relevant is amazing because I don't think there's a whole lot of other teams that can at the moment. Jameson Williams, hat off to you, man. I'm so happy for this. Like I thought the 1 week, I was like, man, that's amazing. So happy for you. Let's do it again. He did it again. He is, I can't say the most targeted receiver, but the second most targeted receiver, which is what he should be. Amon-Ra came back to the world and said, hey, listen, I'm still here. And yes, I understand the Sam Laporta sadness. We all saw this coming. He could not get the 10 touchdowns and the remainder of the targets like he did last year. I'm sorry that you drafted him in the 2nd and 3rd round, but I will say better days are ahead. And I think the days are today, or I should say Sunday. Whenever you're listening to this, it's the day. Put Laporta in your lineup. For one, you don't have a choice because more than likely he's your only tight end on your team because you drafted him so early. Hopefully you handcuffed him, but at the same time, he's going to be fine. I promise you. It will not be what you think it's going to be, but he'll be fine. He'll be a serviceable tight end for the rest of the year. And you'll have some down weeks, but you're going to have some up weeks. And I think this is one of those up weeks. And I got a bone to pick with the NFL just all around. Why do we keep putting all the great games at 3:00? Split them up, dude. They don't have to all be at 3:00. Half the time I can't watch the 3:00 games because I'm doing adult shit. Like, you know what I mean? I can't watch football all day. I mean, I will, but I can't.
Well, they hid the Panthers Raiders in there, but yeah, you're right.
That one's fine. Hide some ugly games in there. At least split it. Like have 2 good games and 3 good games in the 12:00 hour.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. They could have put the Giants Browns maybe. I think the Cardinals win, but honestly, we win because this game's going to be fun to watch.
Everyone wins in this game, but I picked the Detroit Lions, so we're splitting here.
All right, nice. We finally have a disagreement. All right, on to the 49ers versus the Rams. I'll let you go first. Do you want to talk 49ers, I'm guessing?
I honestly don't care. Pick a team. I'll take the 49ers, I guess, just because you already threw them to me. This game would have been amazing had we had all the players. So Jordan Mason, I can't even say he's the real deal. I think that this team is the real deal. I actually think Jordan Mason takes a step back in this game. You still start him because you have to. But we saw some sadness from the 49ers, I should say. Debo's out, so you have to start Ayuk. George Kittle, obvious start. I think Brock Purdy is a sit unless you need him. I mean, the thing is the Rams defense isn't great, so you should be able to play Purdy if you need to. I just don't love it right now. I'm not seeing it from Purdy at the moment. But, yeah, it's the 3 stars and then Purdy if you need him. So.
Okay. Yeah, I can't fault you there. Maybe Juwan Jennings and
I guess Juwan Jennings can be a super deep flex if need be. I do think everyone should roster him at the moment, which I think is wild. I think he's only rostered in like 60% of leagues still, even after the Debo injury.
I think you're right about that. As far as the Rams go, woof. All right. So everybody who drafted Cooper Kupp that was like pumping their fist after Puka went down, how you feeling now? Because now there's no Puka, no Cooper Kupp. Looks like Kyron's good to go. Matt Stafford, if you are a true believer or a tortured soul, I guess maybe, but I don't really love that. As far as who to play on this team, on wide receiver wise, I wouldn't be comfortable playing a lot of them. Demarcus Robinson, I guess I have a little bit of interest in. Jordan Whittingham, I would at least roster, but you're not Whittington. You're not starting him though. And then Tutu Atwell, also I would roster him, but I don't really feel great starting him yet. I realize that, there's certain teams out there that are probably like up against it, but I don't know.
No. Actually, listen. I seen a team that was literally had all the injured players, which was hilarious. It's sad. At the same time, it was like all the running backs, wide receivers that are injured. But I want to say that the coolest thing about this Rams situation at the moment, which there's not a whole lot of cool things, is they're all dart throws and they're gonna have to throw the ball. So if you want to play Tyler Johnson, if you want to play Demarcus Robinson, if you want to play Whittington, or you're forced to throw someone in there that you're not comfortable with, knowing that they're not going to do something, one of these three guys, I imagine, maybe even a fourth guy, is going to do something. Like it might be Atwell too. Like someone's going to do something because Stafford's going to have to throw the ball in this game. Like this is not an easy game by any means. So maybe this is the, Kobe Parkinson game too.
Did you see who they brought up from the practice squad?
No, who's it?
Good old Quintez Cephas is going to be a Ram.
Good old. Honestly, I'm hoping for his. I feel so bad about his. He was actually looking really decent as like a wide receiver 3 on the Lions back in the day, and then that whole scandal of all the gambling on college games. I think he gambled on an NFL game too. So anyway, just saying, someone's got to do it. So like if you're desperate, like you're in that situation where you need someone, put one of these guys in. Man, I'm not going to tell you who it is because I don't know who it is either. Just saying, it's better than picking up a wide receiver 3 on a team.
Yeah, I guess you're right about that. 49ers win.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, on to the Sunday night football game. Looks like Kirk Cousins is back in primetime yet again. What the hell was this scheduling? I don't know if I fully get that one. But anyway, with the Chiefs, we got Pat Mahomes. Can he throw for 200 yards in a football game anymore? I don't know. Would love to see it, but I don't know. It wasn't in the Cincinnati game, at least. Pacheco is out. He's out for 4 games at least. That's at least. It looks like he might be out for a lot longer than that. It's looking like a 3-month injury, so they're gonna have to figure something out. Carson Steele was a popular waiver wire ad. I understand. They signed Kareem Hunt. I don't think I would feel good starting any of these guys on. I think we're gonna have to have Pat Mahomes throw the ball a little bit more. As far as the wide receivers go, Rashee Rice, solid, good to go. Xavier Worthy, a little bit of a step back from game 1, but he's going to have to get more involved out of the backfield with these running back situation. And then Travis Kelce, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, he's going to have to get involved.
He had a 50-yarder pulled back on him due to penalty. So
he did. But I don't know. It's sad times for that right now.
Maybe the Taylor Swift breakup rumors actually were real, you know what I mean? And he's just really sad right now.
Or just all the tight ends aren't good anymore. That could be a thing too, except for
Jerry Brett had resurgence.
Except for like three good ones. But yeah, other than that, I think that's it. I don't even know if I feel comfortable starting Pat Mahomes. Can I be honest with you? I don't even know if I feel good about it. You're gonna have to because you drafted him that high, but I don't feel if I feel great about it.
So you play Pat, you play Kelce, you play Rashee Rice, and that's it. I mean, we could have made it easier, but I will say one thing.
I'd go Worthy. Why not?
You got the home run ball, and they do have to throw the ball. So
exactly.
I will say I think this is actually what happens here is Kelce's designed runs basically, and they're not runs, but the flip pass, the screens, the short passes. Like I think Kelce ends up with like 10 catches this game, and I think
this would be this will be kind of the test. If he doesn't do anything in this game where he is going to be desperately needed to cover up for the run game, then this might not be his year. I don't know.
Yeah, no, 100%. On the other side, I can't believe you made me do the Falcons, but here we are.
I love this. No, I meant to do it too.
I figured. Drake London, and this isn't my hate and this isn't my spillover from week 2. I think Drake London is a sit. I know you won't do it, so don't listen to me, but we have not seen anything from Drake London. I just want to go ahead and say that. And yes, part of that is due to Kirk Cousins, but seeing Darnell Mooney tear off a big one, Ray McLeod, coming. I think I said 3 Rays there. Ray McCloud looking like the best. Ray McCloud and Mooney looked like the 2 best receivers in the game, and London and Pitts were nowhere to be seen. I think the good thing about this is the corners and defensive backs are really good for the Chiefs, but the linebackers are susceptible to tight ends. So I think this is a Pitts game. The thing is, you're starting Pitts, you're starting Drake London, and if you need to fill in Ray McCloud or Mooney's a little bit more of a home run ball. I wish he'd get more targets personally, but it's actually pretty even, surprisingly. And then Bijan, you're starting. You already know that. Algier can make for a decent flex, but I wouldn't do it. I don't think this is a run game. So it's Bijan, it's London and Pitts, and then that's it pretty much. Kirk Cousins if you need to, just because they'll be throwing the ball the whole game, but I don't think you should. Because I think he looks terrible, and the Eagles just gave him the game.
Kirk doesn't look good yet. He had one good drive that entire game. Let's be honest.
Well, and the Eagles gave it to him by playing cover 3 the entire time. So
that's true. Chiefs win.
Yeah, 100%. The Falcons come crashing back down to earth. Although the Chiefs
I think they're already down there, man.
Time out. No. The Chiefs win by penalty again. Yeah, I know that the penalty against the Bengals was actually a fair penalty, but they just always seem to win by a penalty. So that's going to happen again.
It's always lined up that way, it seems like. Okay, on to the doubleheader on Monday night. Don't know why we're doing a doubleheader
on Monday night. Again. We talked about this last year.
They decided to go ahead and give us a Monday night doubleheader, but whatever. Here we are.
Ugly doubleheader. You could have just put Bills versus Bengals.
Yeah, you might as well. I don't know. They should have just. I know they didn't get flex one, but like the Lions Cardinals, that's a better game to put on Monday night. But whatever, flip back and forth. Jags and Bills is the first game on the slate. The Jaguars, other than Travis Etienne and Brian Thomas in a desperation flex, that is all I feel good with. Because man, this team sucks right now on offense. They are bad.
If Ingram's healthy, I think you have to play him.
No,
I don't know.
God, no.
I think you have to, though.
Trevor Lawrence, he's not good at football.
I understand that, but they have to figure it out eventually, right? Like, I mean, I can understand sitting and waiting.
They're figuring it out against the Bills. The Bills are actually good, surprisingly.
Yeah, but they're missing linebackers right now with Bernard out. I just think that the Ingram matchup actually works this week. It's just unfortunate. Okay, that's fine. Don't
put Evan Ingram out there. It's time to bench
strongly about it. I don't want to argue.
I hope you figured something else out by now if you have Evan Ingram, because this is not a week to play him.
All right. Anyway, on to the Bills. Josh Allen, you're starting because you drafted him as the number 1 quarterback overall, which I still think that was a mistake, but it's fine. You do you. Josh Allen is going to have a good game this game, so it should be a good time. James Cook has been the real shining light on this team, and you're starting him. I really thought Ray Davis would have more carries, but honestly, he's just kind of looked pretty mid in the middle. So it's James Cook all day, and then after that, it's nobody. They're wide receivers. Okay, I do want to say one thing. Do not panic drop Keon Coleman. I understand why you might think you should do that because it's been 2 weeks. We've seen this before with rookie wide receivers. It does not happen immediately. Yes, Marvin Harrison looks good. And yes, Neighbors got 18 targets last week. But let's calm down. Keon Coleman stays on your team. There's no number 1 wide receiver on this team. Let's see it shake out first. Please do not start any of them. Also, I hate what's happening with Dalton Kincaid. It should be way better. I actually realized I had 0 shares of him recently, or at least in money leagues. And I was like, oh, man, I should have drafted Kincaid. And I was like, wait, no, I shouldn't have. That's awful. You can sit Kincaid if you want, but I don't think you should this week.
No, this team's just not good. They're not. It's not that they're bad. They're just not great. They're just in the middle.
They're gonna lose. They're gonna lose some easy games, and this hypothetically could be one of them. But the Jaguars haven't shown anything to where they would.
Probably the best team in the AFC East right now, though, which is not what I thought we'd be saying. But here we are.
Yeah,
Bills win 3-0.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick the Bills.
Okay, on the last game on the slate, we got the Commanders versus the Bengals. I'll talk about the Bengals. Jamar Chase is probably the top wide receiver in play this week. The 49ers just absolutely suck against the pass, as evidenced by Malik Neighbors just destroying them last week. Given it was 18 targets, but he made the most of it based on Daniel Jones throwing the football. So go ahead and go that. I actually kind of like the Mike Gesicki thing, so I'm kind of in on that. I don't think he's going to do what he did last week, 7 for 91, but I do think that there's something there. We saw
They
it in
finally
Miami
found
a
a
little
tight
bit.
end, which is super
Yeah,
exciting, honestly.
it does seem like there's something there. Past that though, no, just it's no Zach Moss. I don't love it. It's almost like they should have gotten a real running back. And Chase Brown, they just decided to not use anymore. And I can't really explain it, but if they're not going to use him, you can't play him. That's just the way of the road.
I actually disagree. I think Zach Moss is a sneaky flex play this week just because the Redskins Commanders can't. Yeah, no, I know. Just go ahead and cancel me right now. The Commanders cannot stop the run. So that's the one good thing you got. Even with their good linebackers, you're getting 5 yards a carry, which is great. On the Commanders side, not the other team that I said, you're going to really want to start Bobby Wagner. Offense. Jaden Daniels looks good. He actually does look pretty decent for Wild. I actually have him in a league, and I didn't realize he hadn't thrown for a touchdown yet. 400 yards in 2 games for a mostly mobile quarterback. I know he can throw, but they're not letting him throw down the field, right? Like they're throwing safe balls. They're trying to be as safe as possible. Maybe it's him. Maybe it's the coaching staff not wanting turnovers. Maybe he just wants to have a nice record. He is the Heisman Trophy winner. The good news about this is the whole run game is amazing. Brian Robinson, Jaden Daniels, and Eckler. I know Eckler only has 10 carries, but he's got 4.8 yards per carry. The whole team is averaging 5 yards over your 5 yards a carry. It is amazing. Jaden Daniels is good to go in your lineups. Brian Robinson is good to go in your lineups, and Eckler is good to go in your lineups. Also, because Eckler is the leading receiver on the team currently, which makes no sense. Zach Ertz looks amazing, actually, for a guy who's 33 years old. It's like me running around out there. But no, good to see him back in action. I think he's a great low floor tight end, like good fill-in injuries. If you have Ingram or you were able to snag Ertz out there, I think this is the game to play him, especially. And then Terry McLaurin is getting targets, not enough, but he is getting targets. It's just not looking good. You can roll him out if you want. I don't want to. I'm sitting him. Fortunately, he's like, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3 material to where you had some options ahead of time and hopefully your running backs panned out so you can sit McLaurin for now. I would love to see it happen, but it hasn't yet. So, I mean, the idea is there. It's just not itself. So,
yeah, the problem is Jaden Daniels can't read an offense yet. Like he can't read can't read a defense yet. And that's just something that's going to come with time. He really, really wants to run, but his coaches don't want him to run. So he's like having like brain fog in the middle because they got to the red zone easily last week. But then that's when it got confusing because he wanted to run it into the end zone, which he did the last week 1. But his coaches don't want him to do that. They want him to throw it. So he gets confused and flustered, and it doesn't go well. That's what happened. But whatever.
Yeah, you can't almost see him like as he's scrambling out of the pocket, stop for a second, and it's not to throw. It's because they told him stop, and he's like, okay, stop. And he's like, I should have ran.
Literally it. Josh, they kicked 7 field goals last week. Like,
let the man cook, dude. Let him do what he
cook.
Does.
I don't get it.
If he can scramble for number one, like the problem with most quarterbacks, the Jared Goffs, the people who can't get out of the pocket, Matt Stafford's, is Jaden Daniels can get out of the pocket. And yes, if he sees an open receiver, that's great. But if he feels comfortable and he knows he can get to the corner of the end zone, let him take it, man. Like don't keep this man down, especially in this game. Like obviously they got to take the win over the Giants, which is great. But like let's calm down. There's a chance that there is. This is a close game. If Joe Burrow should have a great game, man. So Jaden Daniels is going to have to too.
I mean, I think the Bengals are going to win, but I really hope that they actually let let Jaden Daniels cook because I think the Commanders could be good if they just let their running back off.
I actually think this game is a lot closer than you think, and if I had to pick, I'd get closer to the Commanders than you'd think. But I'm going to pick the Bengals anyway. Actually, the Commanders.
If the handcuffs are off, I think it'll be the Commanders, but it depends on what they're planning to do here.
Bengals defense isn't scary by any means, though. So I think Jaden Daniels finds some open holes.
Something tells me I'm going to be on the Commanders-Bengals game more than I'm going to be on the Jags-Bills game. But that's just an early.
Both, but yeah, I'm going to be. This one's going to be on the big screen. The other one's going to be on an iPad.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Okay. All right. Well, that's all for week 3. I can't believe we're already 3 weeks down into the season with these previews. Joe will be back next week, which that's exciting. It's good to see him.
Gonna watch a game of football too.
Hopefully he speaks English still. I don't know. We haven't talked to him. But I'm sure he still speaks English just fine. Maybe a little Italian. We don't know that. All right. Josh, get us out of here.
Good luck, guys, and stop going for the overreactions, all right? Just relax. Your team's fine. You can be 0-2 and still make the playoffs, all right? Good night.